aboard for Success Express, your business, career, and financial radio magazine. Hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
From employee handbooks to the new ABC test for independent contractors, minimum wage, sick leave, vacation time, PTO, and exempt employees, San Diego employment attorney Heinrichs is back on Big Blend Radio Success Express show to share a checklist for San Diego employers and employees who want to understand their duties and their rights. I said duty.
You did say
I
duty.
did. It's Friday. Everybody, Ward is a regular Big Blend Radio guest and contributor to Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. You can see his articles if you go to blendradioandtv.com. He's in our expert department. And he also writes about tourism and hospitality. If you go to nationalparktraveling.com, and you'll see his articles in Parks and Travel magazine. But most importantly, go to his website, bestemploymentattorneysandiego.com. He's got a great blog there as well that will keep you up to date with all the different laws that come into effect. It's really important to keep up with that. And he's also on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, and you can keep up with him there. Ward, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. It's warm and sunny out here in Tucson, Arizona, and I'm thinking that San Diego, you got a better deal over there. June gloom is good. July sunshine is awesome, and you have beach breezes. So I'm thinking we need to go for a drive west.
Yeah, I'd highly recommend it. It is a gorgeous day today. My office is a little inland, just a little bit, not too far, but the sun is just pouring down, and it's mid 70s. On the coast, it's still maybe a little overcast, but it's probably breaking up there, and it'll be a little cooler. And it's been nice, very nice.
Right on. Well, good. And San Diego, I know, it's just booming as a city, right? And as in a county, it's growing pretty fast, isn't it?
Yeah, I haven't seen the latest statistics, but I think it's still growing. There was, even a couple of years ago, they were talking about more people moving out than moving in. But I don't think that's the case now. I think that the internal population is growing fast enough that we're keeping up with any people who leave. Now, some people do get tired of it. It is a little expensive. But if you can make it through the first rough patch, you're going to be feeling really happy that you live in San Diego.
Yeah, it's a beautiful county. It's the largest county in California. And, I mean, where else can you have the coast, the mountains, the desert, countryside? You've got music that goes from, psychedelic rock and blues on the coast, and then you can go up and get some good old country. So it's like you've got the music, you've got breweries, I'm just saying, wineries.
Oh, yeah, it's a great place.
I know.
Not a whole lot.
I know, getting a little homesick right now. Just saying. But I bring this up because it is really, it's big on hospitality, tourism, and, a lot of people move in and out. And it's important to look at, San Diego. I know there's California law. Over the years, we've talked about this, and we wanted to just kind of put it into perspective for especially anybody opening a business, anybody moving to San Diego, and just a refresher for anybody, and whether you're an employee or a business owner, to know what's happening legal wise, because you've got California employment law, and then you've got San Diego, which is the city versus the county. That's two different things. So up in the mountains, you don't have the same kind of laws as you do in the city, right? Depending on what the law is. Did I get that right?
Yeah, not all the laws that govern the county also govern the city. The city may have a slightly different law that is more protective of employees, and that would apply. And minimum wage is one, sick leave is another. Those are the two biggest ones.
Okay. Now, you start off talking about employee handbooks, and this is good advice for anybody anywhere, right, to have this handbook, no matter what size business you are?
Yeah, it's a very good thing. There are certain things that always apply to any employer. One is sick leave, so you really need to put that in writing because there's certain elections you have to make, and you want to make sure your policy makes sense for your business. So another one would be the harassment, discrimination, and retaliation policy. So there's certain things that you just have to have in writing. And then beyond those things that you have to have, you also ought to expand a little bit so that your employees really understand the roadmap for the employment situation.
Okay, so that way everybody's protected in a way, right? Especially as the employee.
It provides protection for the employer, and it provides understanding and guidance to the employee. So it really has two functions. It helps the employer and run their business as safely as they can, and it helps the employee understand what's expected. So, yeah.
I remember the Automobile Club having their dress code as part of their employee handbook.
Really?
Yeah, because you weren't allowed to wear sleeveless tops as a woman. That was in there.
Well,
interesting. Back in the day.
I know, that was back in the covered wagon days.
Well, dress codes are often part of handbooks, but you do have to be careful about being sexist with your dress code. So, probably saying that men can have short sleeve shirt and women can't would probably be sexist unless there's a good business reason for that. So you really have to support, if there's a difference, you really have to support the reason for that difference.
Wow. See
never
how
know.
That is, and they talked about the length of your skirt or dress.
Yeah.
I don't recall them saying anything to men about the length of their pants.
I had a friend in the tourism industry, and she lived in a very hot state, hot and humid. And they had a dress code in the employee handbook, and it said you had to get your nails manicured and done a certain way, and you had to still. I mean, you have to wear pantyhose. I'm like, dude, really? What era are we in? And the same thing. It reminded me of high school. The last school I had, you couldn't wear, like, if you wore your blazer. You could wear your blazer without the sweater, but you couldn't wear the sweater without the blazer.
Yeah.
So it was like that. And her whole dress code was like that. And she's in this really hot, humid state. And so would that be sexist? Having to get your nails manicured?
Well, I think it depends on the circumstances. There could be a good business reason behind that. It depends on who she's working for and what she's doing. For instance, I could see at maybe a manicure shop. I mean, I'm not even sure what you call those, where you get your hands and feet done and all that kind of stuff. Maybe they can say, hey, look, we want to project the image that we do nails really well, so you guys have to come in with well-done nails. Yeah, that makes some business sense. So under that circumstance, I would say it's probably not sexist. I guess they might have to say the same thing to the male who's doing it as well, but,
you know what? I fly a show with Ward down the road, and Dr. Jackie, Dr. Jackie, right? We were talking about this the other day with her. We're going to just put the two of you there. We've got some other great experts, and we're just going to do like the true or false or the yes or no question, like a game. Go around. Okay, is this sexist? Yes, no, ding. We could make it a game show because it is.
Yeah, wow.
Because we sit back and we always think, oh, this and this and this, and then you find out no, because it's this, this, this. It's like here. It's like everything is so. It's
well, for a lawyer, it depends on the circumstances. You can't. It's hard to have a blanket answer for all situations. So that's why I always like to get into the facts, get into the specifics, and then give you a better answer. If you're just going to make a blanket statement, well, then most lawyers go, well, maybe. They won't say yes or no. They'll say, well, maybe. It really depends.
Yeah, and then once you know everything, then you go, okay, now where's the gray area, right? Where's the loophole? Where is it?
I like to find a loophole.
I know. I will drive my Hummer through your loophole. Sorry.
I beg your pardon.
That was Schwarzenegger back in his election days.
That's right.
That was some fun election, rhetoric. But anyway, okay, so handbooks are a must-have thing. Now we got to talk about minimum wage because it's going to change again, right? It's coming next year, 6 months from now. Going to change.
Yes, it will. The San Diego minimum wage, which right now is higher than the California minimum wage, has been the same since January 1, 2017 at $11.50 an hour. It's going to increase next year, and we don't know for sure how much it's a cost of living increase. Now, I just saw something on the internet that said it was going to go up to $11.82. and I don't think that's accurate, but maybe there is a formula. But cost of living, I think, is based on what the economy is doing, not necessarily some type of preconceived formula. But I'm not sure, so I always just wait to see what they say. So if it's really $11.82, then California's minimum wage will be greater next year because it's going to go up to $12 an hour for employers with 26 or more employees. So bigger employers will be paying $12 an hour, and so that will be more than what the city of San Diego will require if it's really $11.82. Of course, the employers who employ fewer than 26 employees under California would be $11 an hour, and so then the San Diego minimum wage will still be greater for those employers. So it's getting complicated.
Yeah.
Keep your eye on the ball.
Okay. So San Diego City, you got to look at are you in the city proper? Like if you're in Carlsbad, if you're in Julian, Vista, La Mesa's considered East County, right? They're not.
Yeah, it's its own city. It's not in the city of San Diego. That's right.
Okay. On the outside, because there's not a county minimum wage, right? So you need to do the California minimum wage.
Right.
Okay. Wow. All right, and just ignore what happens in the city, unless you move there or something, or or you have a friend there. Tell them it's different. It's different.
Yeah, and if you want to be safe, just pay everyone $12 an hour starting January 1, 2019, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So.
And you know what? It's why not?
Yeah. Why not?
I don't know. I'm not getting into that. Not getting into that
There's
at
a whole
all.
lot of business owners going, "Are you kidding?"
What do you mean? But it's it's a balance. So minimum wage is a big deal to know about, and employees need to know, right? Because that you may not be getting paid, and it's a big deal if the employer doesn't do what he or she is supposed to do.
It's a big deal. Yeah, it sure is. Minimum wage violations can be really heavy. I'm actually doing a case with a minimum wage violation allegation right now on the employee side. They were paid a flat rate for a monthly flat rate, and it's well below, and they worked at many hours. It's well below on an hourly rate than the minimum wage in California. That she was outside of the city of San Diego. So so you got to pay the difference between what they were paid on an hourly basis and what minimum wage is, and then you've got what they call liquidated damages, which is 2 times that difference that I just talked about, difference between what they were paid and the minimum wage. So you end up paying twice the amount of minimum wage that was unpaid. So if you're paid $6 an hour and you're working to make 12, well, you got to pay $6 an hour times the number of hours they worked, and then you do that twice for to cover the liquidated damage.
So and then they pay you too.
But I mean, is that?
And then there's attorney's fees. Yeah.
Yes.
Go board.
Is that kind of like because you didn't pay the person enough that it was a hardship on them?
Well, it's a penalty. Well, yeah, I don't know if they look at it from the point of view of the employee and say, well, they need more money. I think it's really a penalty, quote unquote, against the employer, which is pay minimum wage. You got to at least do that.
But that money now that we're talking about, would it go to the person making, instigating the lawsuit, or does it go to the government or something else?
No. That goes to the plaintiff, the person filing the lawsuit.
Trying to think of, okay, cool.
No, there's some windfall there, but I think the purpose is more of a penalty against the employer. But there's certainly the employee gets the benefit of it.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so everybody behave yourselves out there who have employees. It's because ward's coming. No, but that's
Well,
I protect employers too. I tell them, hey, I gotta be a little careful about this. And
yeah, you try to get them beforehand. Like that's like even having this conversation, and we've had a lot of discussion on minimum wage over the years because it's changing, and knowing about it is so key, because if you are oblivious to it as an employer, you can get yourself in doo-doo like this, just like, what's happening.
Absolutely.
So that's a hard one, so yeah, take the early advice.
I found starting a business in a different country really interesting because, first of all, it was long ago. There wasn't so many laws at all. And the only way you found out when you did something wrong was when somebody sued you for it, because there was no kind of agency that checked up to see, like, I don't even remember a minimum wage in South Africa.
I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
But San Diego has one.
I had an accountant and I had a lawyer because I never knew what the heck I was supposed to be doing.
They were cool.
Yeah, well, if you want to, keep out of trouble, that's a good thing to do, and have them check in and help you update and and that's usually money well spent, I got to say, because if you get caught in these things, it can be really expensive. I've just seen a lot of expensive issues.
Is there notification to the business owners that have employees of these kind of changes in the law? I mean, do you get something that tells you as an employer?
Well, yeah, sort of. The government doesn't issue like a letter or anything that goes directly to the employer. Their employers are required to have the proper posters, which includes minimum wage posters, so they need to go out and get those themselves and get them on the internet and then pay for them from agencies and things like that. And that will have all the updates. The government websites are really good about this stuff. So it's out there, but it doesn't just get spoon-fed to you.
Okay, and you have to
go find it.
Yeah, and well, that's the thing. And how many, especially if you're a small business, half the time you just kind of, if you don't have an HR department, are you really looking at it? But that's what the HR department would be in charge of, that, right? Making sure that they're, clean with how they're operating, and then that's who you work with.
They should. Yeah, well, yes, I do work with HR professionals, and they should be doing all that. But honestly, sometimes HR is way overworked. It depends on the company. And if they are, they might not be paying attention to all these little things. They might not know about the ABC test, which I keep harping on, and that's one reason why I pump all this stuff out. I want people to know. You got to know if forewarned is forearmed, and employers out there really need to know this stuff, or they're going to get caught.
And they intentionally sometimes, most of the time. Of course, there's always bad business owners, just like there's always the percentage of bad employees. It's just the way the world is. But I think you're really right, because here comes this unnecessary drama for everyone involved, and legal drama. I mean, it's cool to watch on TV, and it's cool to chat with you about it, but when you're in it personally,
not that cool.
It's not, because you're not doing your business, and then you become unhappy. And that's not the way to be. We have enough unhappiness going on in the world of crazy, but I think you're really right. I mean, and it makes everything move smoothly and better in a community. A community needs to have like a happiness factor, and not getting in trouble is part of it, unless it's naughty trouble. There's two different types. I'm just saying.
Okay.
But okay, wait a minute. So, Nancy was talking about, she had her lawyer, and she had like her own little mafia. Not that they were killing anybody, but what is it about? Because I know that one of them ended up in jail, but it was more of a case thing. It wasn't.
That was a political thing.
How often do attorneys end up in jail? Like, not as in doing the
wrong thing. Rare. I mean, you see it every once in a while. I see attorneys censured, and they're not censored, and that's by the state bar, so it's not a crime necessarily. Usually, it wouldn't be. And that doesn't happen a lot, but some attorneys, lose their license or suspended for a while, and that's pretty severe. Some of those cases could end up being theft cases because it's keeping client money, and I don't know if they actually get prosecuted. I would think some of them probably do. But the ones I remember are the judges. In the early 90s, there were 3 judges who kind of helped the wrong side. Well, they helped one of the litigants. And it looked like there was a conspiracy with an attorney, and I think all 3 of them ended up going to jail.
Wow, I remember.
Yeah.
Actually now. Yeah.
I'm not going to name names. I remember these guys, but And that I do remember. That's serious. That's serious stuff. That's really serious
But
stuff.
they just show it on TV all the time. That's why I was asking too. Like all of a sudden the lawyers like mouthed off to the judge, and then that's
Oh no, not. I'm all right. Yeah, it's TV. I've never seen an attorney go to jail. I mean, I guess if you're in contempt, maybe, but I've never seen it.
He ended up in jail because there was a change in government.
Yeah, that was a different. That was.
Okay. That's political. Yeah.
That's
we don't have that here.
All right, let's get back to the easier part here. Okay, so everybody watch out on the minimum wage, but now let's talk about 24 hours of paid sick leave per year for all employees. That is the minimum. And so this is strictly a California law, not a San Diego, but a California law.
That's correct. That's what California law requires for paid sick leave. And then San Diego requires more, and that's 40 hours of paid sick leave. Now, that's San Diego City. So, again, if you're out in La Mesa or Alpine or Julian, you're not governed by this. And you're governed by the 24-hour requirement. And that's for all employers. There's very few employers that get around this. All employers must do this. But if you're inside the city of San Diego, it's 40 hours, and which is equivalent to 5 days.
And good luck governing Julian. They're in the mountains because they want to be free. That's it. That's it. Good luck on that. No, I'm kidding. But okay, so now so San Diego's 40 hours, California's 24 hours. So Julian, you go by 24 hours. But if you go by San Diego City, you're safe. Employers, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, the law is not as simple as I wrote it here. I mean, you can have it accrue in different ways, and they could actually accrue more time. And if you don't make the right elections, that's why this has to be in writing. If you don't make the right elections, they could actually get more time per year. You have various elections that you can make that either limit it to a total of 24 hours that they accrue and use, or you can allow them to accrue more than that but only use 24 hours, or you could have them accrue more and use more. And so you got to make the right elections depending on what you want to do. And the same thing's true with the 40 hours for San Diego. You can do all three of those things. So it really needs to be in writing, and you need to make the elections that make sense for you.
Okay. So put things in writing. So it's part of that protection part and keeping and everybody knowing what's going on, just like the handbook. Okay. Now, California employees, you talk about employers do not need to offer vacation to California employees.
That's not nice.
You're in a vacation destination.
That's right.
That's why. Yeah, I mean, you're just having fun all the time anyway, whether you're working or not. So you don't have to give them vacation. No, that's not why.
In a brewery, you're like, hey, I'm on permanent vacation. That's safe. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell us a little bit about this part because it's interesting because there's like you don't have to do it, but then if you do, now you're giving yourself laws and rules to work by.
Yeah, then the laws do kick in, and again, this is another one that really needs to be in writing because if you have some, I don't think it's unlawful to have an oral vacation policy, but are you going to run into problems? It's really got to be in writing so that it's spelled out, the accrual is spelled out, and the use is spelled out, and all sorts of things. So you got to make sure you've got that right. And vacation is considered an earned wage. So it's also something that must be paid out at the time of termination if there is an unused bank of vacation. And that differs from other types of leave. So, again, writing, make sure the accrual is taken care of and the use is taken care of. You can't give it back. You can't take it back either. Once it's accrued, the employer can't say, well, I'm going to dock you so much. You can put a cap on it. You can say maybe you can only accrue 100 hours. And if you could accrue more according to the terms of the agreement, but the agreement says you cap it at 100, then you can't get any more. You need to start using your vacation to start accruing again. But you can't, once it's earned, you can never take it back. It's a wage.
Wow.
So can you then have different vacation times for different employees? Or
yeah, you can.
You can. So you can say, I like
Yes.
you.
You can negotiate.
You get 3 weeks. I really don't like you so much. You
No. Nancy.
I would say be very careful with that kind of policy.
And that kind of way of saying it. Yeah.
Yeah. You can distinguish between different types of employees and allow certain types to accrue more vacation over time than the others. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's how you negotiate too, from the employee standpoint, when you're going in and getting hired, and
Well, just in some businesses, you need a person around more during this season than maybe when it goes into summer or it goes into fall. You don't need as many people, but you don't want to let anybody go. So maybe, you would let them take some time off.
Yeah.
Right. And you know what? If you have a vacation policy that, let's say it caps it at 80 hours, which is two weeks, and let's say the employee uses all that up, there's still nothing wrong with the employer saying, hey, I want you around, but I just don't have enough work right now. I'm going to give you 2 weeks unpaid leave and then come back. You're free to do that. So, to address your issue, you can do that. It doesn't have to be paid leave. You can let people just go. And that's another thing. California says, hey, yeah, sure, you can give vacation, but you don't have to give paid vacation. And many employers do give paid vacation just because it's a perk that attracts good employees. But, a lot of the mom and pops really can't afford to pay for vacation. So, but they'll let generally, without a vacation policy, they'll let their employees have time off. So that's just generally how it's handled in the two different situations.
I know it does change up. Some places are seasonal. Some just through every it's like here, we're closed at this point. I look at schools. Teachers can go off and have a summer vacation. It's like we were chatting with Chef Ivan Flowers, right? He teaches now. He teaches in Temecula, and he's like,
oh yeah, you were saying that. That's right.
Yeah, and we were just chatting with him on his interview, and he's like, I'm still pinching myself. I'm on vacation. I have the summer off, and I'm like, wow. So do teachers? I mean, is that something that's when you think about school districts and all of that? That's an interesting thing. Do they get paid vacation, like paid summertime?
That's a good question, and I do know a little bit about that. I'm not like a great expert in that area, but I do know that, well, one, I think they generally get paychecks throughout the year. I'm really sure they do. So it's the paychecks are dispersed evenly throughout the year. And, but so is that a paid vacation? Well, I don't know. And you have to look at the collective bargaining agreements for each unit to determine whether they really have a paid vacation plan or not. Here's my, again, this is why I'm not an expert, and I'm kind of going out on a limb here, but here's what I think happens with teachers. They get paid the same amount year-round, and of course they get their 2 or 3 months off. And if you're in a year-round school, you get smaller breaks interspersed throughout the year, so they're all working about the same amount of time. And I don't think that's considered paid vacation. They're just paid evenly throughout the year, and they get a lot of time off. So I think that's how it works. And if someone else out there knows better, I have some good friends who are teachers. I ought to ask them and see, well, do you really have paid vacation, or just get paid the same all the time? Yeah. And they love it. I mean, the ones I know love summer. I mean, my good buddy just got off. He says, oh, yeah, I'm going camping. I'm going fishing. I can't wait. I'm in the bar right now. Last day of school.
I know. I have some friends who are teachers on Instagram and stuff, and I'm like, dude, are you still, you're hiking right now. I'm jealous. I'm like, okay, I'll be a teacher, but we also have to take care of our teachers. I just want to say that. And depending on where we are or you are, like out there in the world, there's good places to be a teacher, and some places really need financial help because they're buying the supplies for kids and stuff depending.
Yeah, no, there's I've seen those articles in the paper.
Yeah. Okay, so now you've got the vacation part, but then there's paid time off. And so this is like a thing that everybody gets to. Is it can you, as an employer, do you get to do that, or completely say, I don't give anybody paid time off, no time off for you?
Yeah, it's not required. It's like vacation. It's very similar to vacation policy, but like I explained in the article, it's normally a hybrid of sick leave and vacation. So you can use paid time off. Generally, each policy can differ, but generally the policies allowed for you to use your time however you wanted to. Of course, you had to clear it with the boss, et cetera, et cetera. But once you got cleared, you use it for any reason. It didn't matter whether it was because you're sick, or whether because you wanted a personal day, or whether you wanted to take a 2-week vacation. So they gave people a lot of flexibility, and it was very popular for that reason. But now with the California and San Diego sick leave laws, if you still have a PTO policy, that means that the sick leave is now a wage. So to me, if you're an employer, it makes sense to say, well, let's just have a vacation policy and a sick leave policy. And if you leave my employment at any time, whether you're terminated or you quit, then I do have to pay you accrued vacation, but I don't have to pay you accrued sick leave. The law does not recognize sick leave as a wage, so it doesn't have to be paid out. It's just a benefit. And so that's why I think PTO policies really probably don't make the most sense anymore. But again, there may be business reasons why you want one.
Interesting. It's interesting, And everyone, Ward was talking about his article. It is up right now. You can see it at blendradioandtv.com. Just type in Ward, San Diego Ward, you'll find him. And you can also see it in the summer issue of Big Blend Radio and TV magazine, also available at blendradioandtv.com. So you've got the PTO. It sounds like a car. It does. It's cruising. It sounds Californian. So what's this whole thing about exempt employees?
Well, exempt employees, they're paid on salary, and they have to pay paid a minimum salary, and they have to do certain kinds of duties to qualify as exempt employees. If they don't qualify under the duties test, as a manager, administrator, professional, or they don't qualify under the minimum salary test, then they are considered non-exempt employees and get many more labor law protections, like meal periods, rest periods, minimum wage, overtime. And usually if someone gets reclassified from a salary exempt to a non-exempt employee, there's usually an overtime claim, because many of your salary exempt people work more than 8 hours a day. They're expected to work longer hours and get the job done and manage and do all that stuff. So if they get reclassified, then there's usually a fairly hefty overtime claim that goes along with that.
And that's something to watch too, right, for employers on the overtime world, of making sure you pay it, and because isn't there like fines and things like that if you don't pay your overtime properly?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yes, that's easy. Yes, there's fines. There's all the overtime that you never paid, and there's all that, and it can be very expensive. Yeah.
It's a good thing you're there, Ward. I'm serious. And so I want to get into the ABC test. I know we talked about this last month, but it's important. It sounds like a liquor law, the ABC license. That's what it is. It's like it's your test. But I wanted to ask, just because we're talking about San Diego in specific and California law. So if someone moves in to town and says, hey, I'm moving in, I'm not always, quite sure on things. Do you work with people like just as an advisory, coming in and saying, okay, what's your business? And this is the stuff you need to watch out for, just, purely to advise them so that they don't end up in trouble?
Yes, I do. Normally, it's not a startup. Normally, it's an ongoing organization or business that says, hey, I've got a question. And then I start talking to them about that, and then it leads to other things, and I end up giving all sorts of different advice in different areas. So that's normally how it is, but certainly someone who's thinking about starting a business, there's just so much to know in just running a business. So if you don't have a lot of experience in that, it's not a bad idea to sit down with an attorney. Maybe just buy them lunch. If someone said, Ward, I'm starting a business, I want to know some of the basic stuff, buy me lunch and I'll talk to you. Sure.
Go Ward. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'd be glad to. If it leads to more, it leads to more. And maybe it will take more. I mean, who knows? But, certainly I do that.
Oh, that's sweet. And I know that when people have a question, you always give them like a free consultation first to make sure that it's even a match, right? And just,
Absolutely.
And give everybody that. So
it's worth it, because I know when, starting the business, of course, I had to go do it in Africa. It was challenging, and it was really hard to find out what you're supposed to do and what you can't do, and things were not exactly the same as here.
Yeah, exactly.
So I valued the people I had.
The counsel, Nancy called them. She had her counsel.
They were my counsel.
They came over every Friday afternoon for cocktails.
That's
it
right.
It was cool.
See, that's my kind of life.
Yep, it was great.
It was like
you could take Ward out for a martini, and he may really help you.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Let me order two, and then we're rolling.
Martini lunches with Ward. Hey, they're fun. So now let's talk about the ABC test for independent contractors. If you're an independent contractor, you may still want to call Ward, because you may not be an independent contractor. You could be an employee, right? I feel like we could get Jeff Foxworthy on here to do some jokes on this. Seriously.
Yeah, no, I've harped on this test since it came out on May 1st. The Supreme Court decided the case May 1st. And it's just a sea change. It's huge. So, yes, many more workers will now be employees instead of independent contractors. I just don't know how to say that so many times. And I've been talking to people about it, and I keep getting referrals about it. I haven't seen anyone take it super seriously yet, but there's going to be a big lawsuit, and people need to. If you have independent contractors, you really need to look at that. And if you're an independent contractor, you may think about seeing whether you've been treated according to the law. It's a big change. And I guess I refer back to the article a little bit. I talked about, I think the main change is really with the B prong of the ABC test. So there's 3 prongs to the test. And the B prong is if it's in the usual course of the hiring entity's business. And so that means, what does it mean? I mean, that can be so broad. We were just talking about this off air, remember? And I said, hey, look, if you advertise as a bar that you have regular entertainment, there was a case, it was on the East Coast somewhere, where the court there applied the ABC test and said, yes, this entertainment, this band that came in and played was an employee. And, I was thinking that couldn't be, it couldn't be that broad, but they used it that broadly. And now I don't know if California is going to be that broad. We're going to have to wait some years and have some test cases, but it really could be. And that means that if you're a bar and you have regular entertainment, then those bands that come in are your employees. I mean, wow, that floored me. That floored me. So if it gets that broad, hey, watch out.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't say it enough.
Yeah. What about hair salons? Because I've seen them work under one name,
like a co-op,
but they're like a co-op, and the girls come in, or guys, and they kind of own their space.
It's almost like they're renting.
It's like,
but
it's almost like they're so that could be really complicated.
No, it is. It was complicated before, and I used to get, several calls like that throughout the year. Not tons, but I think I'm going to get a lot more calls on that situation.
Okay, Uber.
Now, I think you can. Okay. I was going to say, I think you can run it right. If you really just rent space and that's all you do, well, then you're a landlord. But what you see very often is they're actually in the business, and these people are got some of their clients, maybe some of their own, and then you start doing that. Now I'm thinking of the ABC test, clearly an employee. I don't even think there's an argument anymore.
because even hair salons, like if you got the owner, right, she or he has always got like that's the head roost. It could be, John's wash and cut. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And so then he's like, oh, well, I want to only rent to someone who's really an expert in color. Now you're getting picky, which now goes towards the employee side, doesn't it? In a weird way, because
Yeah.
now
Oh no, I think so.
it's going into that weird thing where franchises. I think this is going to mess with franchise laws too, in some weird way.
There's
in a weird way.
usually receptionists that will take appointments for everybody.
See, now that's weird.
See, that's weird.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, okay, that is a weird situation. Especially, let's say there's a receptionist at a hair salon, and the hair salon says, "Well, all these people are their own bosses, and they run their own show." All right, so this person who's taking the calls from the clients, are they in the normal course of business, and is she an employee of everyone? And then further, if the owner of the establishment actually is doing hair salon work, aren't all the hair salon independent businesses actually her employees? His or her? Yeah, I think so now. I don't think there's going to be a huge argument about that situation. Now, each situation can have slightly different facts, and it may be different. If they really look like they're just a landlord, I think they're probably okay. But I don't think that happens very often. I don't think there's just.
They all work under one name, and they market under one name.
Yeah, well, there you go. And I would say, wow, if you market that way, yeah, I don't see how you get around it.
This is going to be also,
it's going to be really
okay, so the other part is education facilities do the same kind of thing. So, like, you could be, like, if you own a business that is, maybe like a school, right? But, like, say, like a community kind of thing, and here's so-and-so's coming in, and, I have a yoga school. Like, I was thinking about, we know a lot of people in dance and stuff like that. Then they hire different dancers that come in, or even going on the band thing that you were talking about, entertainment. Here's this, a dancer is traveling across the country, stops in, does a little dance demonstration for the dancers in this one dance clubby thing, and moves on, right? But it's advertised, they're selling tickets to it, and then the dance school itself is going to have different dancers teaching. This is going to get weird when they're normally independent.
No, you're right.
This is good, and they're using it as a facility, but using the name to all market together. Wow. Well, marketing's going to get fun, isn't it, Nancy? This is going to be interesting, and I'm now wondering about websites and stuff. I think that's going to be weird too. All these independent companies, who do social media for people. I wonder how that's going to roll. How it's going to roll in California.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I'm going to say that most of the advertising stuff will probably be outside the usual course, but after reading that one case about the court on the East Coast who said, well, the bands are employees, well, maybe not. I mean, oh, wow. I mean, yeah, we're going to have to work through this test.
It's going to be interesting, though, right? I'm like, it's like watching sports. It's like, what's going on? Like, who's going to do what? So Uber, okay, so you were on the show before, and everyone, Ward's article about the ABC test, employees and independent contractors is up on nationalparktraveling.com. We were talking about the hospitality industry and the transportation industry and tourism industry, so restaurants, et cetera, caterers, all of that. And we were talking about Uber because that's a huge part of tourism, but it's a huge part of people's daily life. And it was like, are the drivers for Uber employees or independent contractors? And now in your article, you say you believe that they are going to be employees. Like, hello, wakey, couldn't that mess with people's benefits? Like, if someone is, and then this is what's interesting about this whole thing, it's going to really do some interesting things to people. So if someone is, say, on disability, or, they're only allowed to make so much money per month or year because of their disability or something like that, right? But you're allowed to do a certain amount, there's that balance. And so maybe they do Uber part-time because that's all they can handle. Maybe they only do one delivery, or driving thing once a week because they don't have the energy to do more than that. Just, humor me on this story. But then, and they're not supposed to be employees, right? Now suddenly they turn around and make them an employee. That could mess with people's setup of things. I'm just saying. You know?
Oh, yeah, no. Uber has treated their workers as independent contractors, and I think there have been some changes because there were some settlements, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, as a general rule, that's how they started, and I think they're still operating that way largely. But now, and they had an argument under the old test, at least in California. But now, if the drivers aren't part of the Uber's usual course of business, I don't know what is. You know, they've been saying, well, we're just a platform, and we're just a computer platform. We're an app, and we just get people together. Well, no, because you're getting a fee from the person who wants the ride. And how can you say you're not in the business of giving rides? I mean, I just think that is such a huge stretch, especially now under the ABC test.
Then what about something like Angie's List?
Well,
I don't know that much about Angie's List, so you might have to tell me a little more.
That's a list of contractors.
Yeah.
That
so
she
it's a website,
says,
and you can go and find a contractor that's recommended because they're part
but
of
they're not
Angie's List.
But she's not an Angie's List. You know,
she's not a.
No, I mean, if you're a contractor, you're not like if you're driving for Uber, you're an Uber driver. If you're driving for Lyft, you're a Lyft driver. See, that's where it gets even weirder. Now, Angie's List is just here's these recommended people, and here's a contractor, roof contractor, but you are not an Angie's List roof contractor. You'll have Joe the plumber and Joe the roofer, you know what I mean? And they're going to have their own companies. It's like a directory. Yeah, it's a directory. It's different than them using software or that kind of thing because they're going, it's Uber or your Lyft. If you were, John's Taxis, you're not in Uber land unless you've said, okay, I'm an Uber, right? You know what I mean? Did I get that right?
Well, I think you did, and I think Angie's List is a directory that says here's people who are available to do work that you want them to do. It's not my business. I don't do their business. I don't know anything about their business, but they came over to my place once and they fixed it and it was great. So I'm going to recommend them. So I don't think that makes them a part of the usual course of business. Now, of course, you could argue it. You could say, well, her usual course of business is promoting these people, and she promotes all these people. So any business that does anything with them is an employee. Well, I don't think so. I think it's advertising. So.
Okay. All right. So now Uber's doing, okay, so this is a California law thing, right?
I'm sorry, say that again. Oh, okay, go ahead.
The California law thing with the ABC test, and there's other states having the ABC test. So,
yeah, most states do, more than half.
Okay. So what happens if the independent contractor that they're now saying, oh, that's an employee, because maybe they're doing work remotely, right? Or they're traveling out of town, comes through, stops in the office, says, here, I've done this or whatever. But if they do not live in California, it's like that band. A band could come through, do a gig at the Belly Up Tavern. So I got to pick names. I love the Belly Up in Solana Beach. It rocks. Band comes in, plays for 4 hours, right? But they aren't based out of California. They come from Hawaii. So what are they going to do with that? You're going to be an employee now of California? Like, doesn't that mess with taxes and all kinds of things?
Well, it could. Generally, you're the employee of the state where you're working. So where you're physically working. There have been some exceptions, and boy, I've read some exceptions, but I'm not going to try to recall them right now. I know there was an instance where some people who were based out of California went to Nevada for a while, and they were still considered California employees. But the general rule is, if you work in Nevada, you're under Nevada's laws.
Yeah,
if you work in California, right?
It's like marijuana. The marijuana laws in Colorado are different than in Arizona.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Same thing.
And in California, they're different than we have here. Yeah, it's all different. It's all like it's like whatever you do in one state. Even driving is different. I mean, Louisiana is driving. There is great, 75 miles an hour, baby. That's it. That's your speed limit on certain highways. That is a different law than what you have on a country road in San Diego. I'm just saying. So, but you have to abide by the rules of each place everywhere you go.
Right.
But
right.
I think what's always been so interesting to me is, thinking of San Diego City having its own rules. When you live in San Diego, you're in San Diego. You consider yourself a county person, like the whole county is your yard. You know what I mean? You don't really
I think so.
City proper, and I think that's something that's important for people to know as out of this as well. Ward, we've got a lot to watch this year. It's like the Olympics.
Yes.
One case after the other. It's going to be interesting over the next few years. Everyone, again, Ward's article is up on blendradioandtv.com and in Big Blend Radio and TV magazine, the summer issue for July and August. And we want to thank everyone for joining us. Ward, thank you for your expertise and putting up with us. And listeners, thank you for putting up
my
with
pleasure.
Everyone, Big Blend Radio airs Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Fridays and Sundays at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. You can go to bigblendradio.com to learn more. And when you're there, go enter our cocktail contest for the Cravens. Last time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I entered not too long ago.
I know. We're going to have to taste it out and see. We're going to have to see.
That's going to be hard work.
I know. This is really one of those rough contests. Like, submit your recipe and you could win vacations, music, T-shirts, this book that is fantastic, The Short History of Drunkenness. It is fantastic. It's one of the best books ever written. But anyway, just saying.
Okay.
Go to Ward's website. This is the best place to keep up with him, is bestemploymentattorneysandiego.com. He's got a great blog. You can follow him on Twitter and Facebook and find him on LinkedIn and Alignable. Is there anything else out there that I should know? Yeah, you're pretty much everywhere on social media, Ward.
Yeah, pretty much. There's the one I don't do. Oh, what's it called? This one my kids always do. Instagram. Yes, I don't do that one. I need to learn. I need to sit down. I'm going on vacation, so I'm going to have my kids teach me about Instagram when I'm on vacation.
Well, you got to follow us. We have 3 accounts on Instagram. If you want to see birds and flowers and nature, you can follow me at Big Blend Lisa. Otherwise,
of course I will.
We've got Big Blend Radio, so you can go to Blend Radio and TV, and we've got Parks and Travel magazine there. We just started more because Instagram is kind of like taking over certain things, and it's cool. You get to see photos. So we could put photos up of people going to jail for you. That's what we'll do. So don't get bored.
Okay.
I know. All right, so we've got a special song for you, Ward. This song is from the Six Tall Men. We love them coming on our shows every year. They come on with a new album, and I think they're doing 2 this year now, which is really cool. What they do is every month, on a Tuesday, they have a songwriting challenge. They all go to Jimmy's house, Jimmy Essien. He's a chef, and they have a songwriting challenge. And then he cooks, and they work on their music, and he cooks them a really good dinner. And then after the year, they have 12 songs. And this is off of their latest album. It's called Stripped Down. They are just up the road from you in Los Angeles and Southern California areas, so they're near you, Ward. And this is the song "Lawyered Up." We thought you'd like it.
Right on. I love that.
I know. And everybody, you can keep up with the Tall Men Group. Go to tallmengroup.weebly.com and also on Facebook, and you'll find them on bigblendradio.com as well. Thanks so much, Ward. Thanks, everyone. Here it is. Get lawyered up.
4th grade's been hell on me. Bullies dog me every day. They wait in the alley 'cause they know I have to walk that way. They take my lunch money and they punch me in the ribs. Oh, but justice will be served on all those evil turds. 'Cause my dad's an attorney, not the tax or corporate kind. No, he's a real courtroom hero he'll make a jury cry. He says laws are written for a reason, so the little guy that's me won't live in fear. When he puts on his suit, my mom says she falls back in love. My dad's an attorney, this kid's lawyered up. He advises me to keep a diary and my iPhone on record. It's called building a case. Those bullies won't look so tough in court. You can have your astronaut, your fireman and rock star too. Me, I'll settle for the man who settles for $1 million too. That's my dad, he's an attorney. His weapons are his mind and his phone. He says he'll ruin them 7 ways to Sunday, put a lien on their home, and then he'll take them to the cleaners. No, their clothes look pretty clean to me. When he puts on his suit, he's litigator man. Someday all kids will walk in the sun. Until that day, you might need someone like my dad. Hablamos Spanish, and though we can't get blood from a stone, sometimes all it takes is a letter, threatening in tone. So if you're walking through the valley of the shadow, you'll want my dad there holding your hand. When he puts on his suit, my mom swears she falls back in love. So listen up, all you bullies. Now that push has come to shove, you're gonna hear from my attorney. Yeah, this kid's lawyered up.